Where? Around the bend. They got the beautiful lady with them? Nah, she's tied up somewhere. We gotta save her, Jim. You're right, Ed. We gotta save her. Shh, quiet. I can hear them coming. They're coming!
At War. Tonight, the National Broadcasting Company, in cooperation with the Council on Books in Wartime, attempts to tell a part of the story of what we in our war have done to the children of the world. Tonight's drama is based on the important new book by Otto Zoff entitled They Shall Inherit the Earth. The part of the author will be played by Richard Stark.
Bang, bang, bang! You're dead, Dirty Dan, you're dead! There, Texas Jim, we just killed Dirty Dan and all his cattle rustlers. We done a good job. Yeah, Buffalo Ed, we done a good... Bang, 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 bang! What are you doing? Dirty Dan wasn't dead yet. He was still flopping. Hey, you're standing on my horse's head. Hey, Jimmy, get off Mom's broom. Excuse me. Where's mine? Right here. Come on, Texas, we gotta ride. Yeah. The beautiful lady's still tied up on a railroad tracks. We gotta save her. Come on, old Pete. Get here.
Are those words at war? No. No, they're not. They're just the words of some little boys playing a game in a small town in the eastern part of the United States of America. It's the summer of 1937. At this same time, in Madrid, Spain... But perhaps I'd better tell you who I am. My name is Otto Zoff, and for years I've been gathering material for a book that would answer the question... What are we doing to the children of the world? And so I walked through many countries. I saw and spoke with children. The militarized children of Mussolini's regime in Italy. The German boys and girls, educated to hate under the Nazi rule. The children of Spain. In 1939, I saw the children of Spain. Back in 1937... While American children were playing cops and robbers, cowboys and Indians, children in Spain were being bombed to death. There was a man in Madrid, a simple, quiet man, a librarian, I believe. But it doesn't matter what he was. What does matter is what he said.
I have seen so many things, Mr. Zoff. Day after day, the fascist troops lay in the miserable tenements of the workers' quarters. They lurked at the windows of the houses and starved people out across the way. The troops would stay very still, waiting for thirst and hunger to provide them a target. At last, a woman would appear fearfully at one of the doorways, planning to go out and get her family something to eat. She looks around. There is nothing. She pulls a child after her by one hand, a second child by the other. She is not going to risk leaving the children alone there with her husband. He might get killed in the fight at any moment. She looks around again. Everything is quiet. She says to herself, I'll just risk it. Be right back. And so she goes out with the children, slipping along between the rows of tenements, and now it is time to throw the grenade. And so they threw the grenade. But why not? Those fascists had been cooped up in that house a long time. They needed the practice.
Is it known how many children died in the Civil War?
Yes, it is known precisely. 10,699.
And wounded?
15,320.
You know it by heart?
Yes, I know it by heart. There is one thing, though, Mr. Zoff. One consolation.
What's that?
Nothing else ever will seem brutal to you compared with this.
My friend from Madrid was wrong. Many times during the next years, I saw things of indescribable brutality. Things happening to children. You know of those things. You've read about them in the newspapers, seen them in the newsreels. But what has it meant? When hundreds of thousands of children are in danger, they become statistics. We see them as figures and graphs printed black on white paper, not as little boys and girls, burned, bleeding, starving, tortured, abandoned to despair. So we sit quiet and motionless in our comfortable homes, knowing with our minds, but not believing with our hearts, that there are thousands of children weeping and bleeding all over the world. It's 1941 now. The two fires begun in China and Spain have ignited the world. Belgium has fallen. Holland, Norway, France, even America is now at war. What about the children of America? Are they still playing games? Oh, yes. Different games, of course. But they're playing games. They're not being murdered and... You see, through a happy circumstance of geography, American children are still allowed the privilege of childhood.
I'm a Nazi. I'm a terrible, dirty Nazi. I'll kill all the terrible people in the world. All the terrible people in the world. Bang, you're dead. Bang, you too. Bang, 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 bang. You're all dead. Boom, boom. You're dead, you old Nazi. Huh? I just hit you with a mortar. You're a Nazi and you're dead. I ain't no Nazi. Sure you are. You just said you was. I heard you. I was saying it private. Out loud I ain't. Go on. There. I just cut you in two in the middle, and all your insides is gushing out. I ain't gonna play. My dad says the worst thing can happen to a man is to be a Nazi or a Jack. Nothing wrong with being a Nazi when you're playing. It's just when you grow up you gotta watch yourself. When I grow up, I'm gonna be a what? I don't know. I'm gonna be a first lieutenant like my dad and have a 1,000-millimeter gun. What's that? I don't know exactly, but it takes 100 men to make it shoot. My dad gives them all orders. He says, see that German over there? Shoot his head off. And they do. I know what I'm going to be. I'm going to be a streetcar conductor. Yeah, that's okay, too. But I think I'd rather be a general. The uniforms is better.
What are you going to be when you grow up? Every child the world over has been asked that question. He makes a game of it. Not German children, though. They are asked the question, but it's not a game. It's another way of instilling in them the Nazi doctrine.
I shall grow up to be a member of the Schwarzer Kurs, like my father, sir.
Good. Hans?
I shall be a member of the elite guard, like my father.
And what else?
And give my life for my Fuhrer, of course.
Right. Rudy?
I shall grow up to be a member of Herr Göring's Air Force, like my father. Heil Hitler!
Walter?
I shall grow up to be a member of Herr Göring's Air Force, like my...
Order! I will have order in this class. Now, Walter, you were saying...
I shall grow up to be... No, I won't.
Boys, be quiet. Give Walter a chance to tell us about himself. Come now, Walter, don't be bashful. We are all so interested in your future ambitions. You were taught what to say. Say it.
I shall grow up to be hanged like my father because I am a Jew. Heil Hitler.
What have we done to the children of the world? Something has occurred that's beyond man's ability to grasp. The earth is not changed. The seasons pass in their appointed cycle. Life and death still keep their secrets. And each living creature broods over his final breath. But the children, what have we done to them? This. In cold blood, the whole world has turned to systematic murder. Children have been condemned to starvation, torture, bombardment. They've been orphaned, mutilated, killed. Why? For tactical reasons. But what are they like, then, these military objectives? These youngsters who will inherit the earth. All over the globe, children are touched by fascism and war. They stagger down the endless roads of China under the bombs of Japanese planes. In Japan, they are taught to die for the emperor. In Germany, they're taught how to hate. They starve on the streets of Athens and Madrid. They huddle in the ruins of Warsaw. They learn the ways of sabotage and murder under the very noses of the victorious Germans in France, Holland, Norway, Greece, Denmark, Yugoslavia. And in Russia, they fight. Children. We're speaking of children. What have we done to them?
Mom! Hey, Mom! Supper ready yet?
Almost. Wash your hands, Edmund.
Okay. What we got?
Well, first we have soup. Wash your hands, dear. Don't just run them through the water.
Okay. Vegetable soup?
Vegetable soup. Oh, not the dish towel, son. Get a hand towel.
It's the summer of 1943. America has been at war for almost 2 years. The home life in America has been affected, of course. There are inconveniences, scarcities, and in some homes, tragedy has come. However, the boys and girls in America do get enough to eat. In France, at this very moment, a little boy and his sister, Pierre and Marie Ducor, are starving to death. Meanwhile...
Boy, wouldn't Pop like this baked ham? Mom, when's Dad coming home?
When the war's over, dear. When the war's over, your dad... Take your hand out of the soup. Your dad'll come home and we'll go to picnics the way we used to, and... Edmund, take your hand out of the soup.
It's not in. Look, I'm holding it an inch up. I'm feeling the steam. See, Mom? Look, Mom.
Yes, I'm looking. I want you to sit down at your place now.
Okay. Mom.
Yes, dear?
Mom, what are wars for?
I believe wars are fought so there will be equal justice for all of the people in the world.
What's justice?
Edmund, your questions.
She don't know what justice is. Mom doesn't know what justice is.
Edmund, settle down now. Now then, supposing we say justice is fairness.
Fairness? How?
Well, now suppose you and Jimmy Adams were each entitled to one piece of candy. However, Jimmy takes 2. So you get none. Now that wouldn't be fair, would it?
No. Could I fight him then?
Not at all. You'd talk it over.
You know, Mom, I think I'll declare war on Jimmy tomorrow. He's got a baseball and I ain't.
You'll do no such thing. If I hear of you fighting with Jimmy Adams, I'll spank you.
Okay. Mom, can I go fight with Dad?
Of course not. Come now. Here's your bowl of soup. Eat it before it gets cold.
Smells good. Why can't I go fight?
Because you're too little. War is not for children.
It isn't?
Certainly not. War has nothing to do with children. Now eat your soup.
Marie, eat your bread. I don't want to. Pierre, I'm hungry. Really hungry. Then eat your bread. I can't. It's got a worm in it. Where? Right here, see? A big worm crawling. Just a minute. There. I killed it. Where is it? It's gone. I killed it. Marie, eat your bread. Yes, Pierre.
Eat your soup, Edmund.
I am. Mom, are there going to be any more wars after this one?
I don't know, son.
Maybe if they got someone to stop them the way you stopped Jimmy and me from fighting, there wouldn't be any.
Maybe.
Does anybody know if there'll be any more wars?
Well, we all hope and pray there won't be.
Sure, prayers is okay. But I think machine guns is safer. I'm gonna hope and pray for a machine gun. A machine gun? Will the Germans shoot us with a machine gun if we go? No, of course not. Why can't we go then? I told you, Marie. A good Frenchman doesn't take food handed out by a Nazi. I'm not a good Frenchman. I'm hungry. I know, Marie. Don't think about it. Think about the piece of bread. It had a worm in it. Listen, Marie. The Nazis would only give us greasy water.
and they'd say it was soup, and they'd laugh at us. And besides, Mother and Father wouldn't like it.
I'm hungry.
Please don't cry, Marie. Look, I'll tell you the pretend dinner.
The pretend dinner? Will you promise to go slow and tell everything?
I promise. Ready?
Mm-hmm. Go slow.
We'll see a big dinner place.
No, you skipped. Start at the beginning.
All right. We'll be walking down the street.
Hand in hand.
Hand in hand. And we'll see a big dinner place.
And it'll be warm. And the chairs will all be made of pink velvet.
And this is what we'll have to eat.
Now go slow. Tell it slow.
First, we'll have 2 potatoes.
2 apiece?
2 apiece. And then we'll each have 25 raspberries.
That cost 40 francs.
55 francs for 25 raspberries. It says so in the window of the store on the corner.
That's too much. We'll have plums instead.
And then we'll have a loaf of bread.
Please, Pierre. I don't want any bread. I'm hungry. My stomach's tired and I'm hungry.
Don't cry. Listen, Marie. Listen. For dessert, you can have a pear. All to yourself.
I can? When? When can I have these things?
I don't know, Marie. I don't know.
A story? No. No, this isn't a story. It's true. But where are these children now? We should know. They're to inherit the earth, remember? They won't, though. Marie won't. She caught cold one day and died within 3 hours. She was so undernourished, you see. Pierre won't either. He's dead, too. Dead of starvation. And the others. The countless others. I saw you on the roads, my little French friends. On the roads leading south from Paris, those roads that were worn down, broken up, walked to pieces by the flight of 10 million panic-driven people. Those roads that were sown with wounded and dying, with blood and machine gun bullets. I saw you, little French children, hungry, weary, lonely, on wind-driven Paris streets. Where are you now? I don't know. The little we hear tells only of a tiny handful out of countless millions. Let 11-year-old Mary, who lived in Poland, tell you her story.
We lived in a tiny village. We had a little house, and behind it was an orchard and a pond for the geese and ducks. On the other side of a pond stood the neighbor's house. They had a garden, too. And in their garden, they had carrots. Mother always said, "You mustn't go over there and eat their carrots. That isn't nice." But one day, I thought Mother wouldn't see me if I crawled through the hedge and made myself little so I wouldn't show much. You see, those carrots looked so good. I couldn't help doing it. I pulled up one and another and another. I ate them. I washed them in the pond and ate them. I didn't hear anything or see anything until suddenly there was a big crash. And I nearly fell in the water. When I got up, I was terribly scared. And I looked at our house, and it wasn't there anymore. My mother wasn't there either.
A child knows not the meaning of the word insecurity. He doesn't know the meaning, but he shudders at the fact. Before Pearl Harbor, America's children were the children of a continent of peace. Now, however, though the children do not see much of war, they hear of it incessantly. War is hell. War is death and destruction. Everyone who can't defend himself goes under. We must learn to hate. And as hate walks through a child's mind, with it walks its companion, fear.
I'm a hero, a wonderful, terrible
want to kill all the people in the world. All the people in the world. Boom, you're dead. Boom, boom. I'll pull their eyes out and stick them in a garbage and put the top on. And then when the Germans come, I'll reconnaissance and then I'll kill them all. Eddie! Hey, Eddie, come on out and play. Eddie! I'm a hero, a wonderful, terrible hero, and I'm going to kill all...
Is that you?
Yes, sir, Mrs. Smith. Is Eddie home?
Home? Good heavens, child, he's been asleep for hours. It's after 10 o'clock. Why aren't you home in bed?
I was, but 3 Germans come through the ceiling and
then... Jimmy, I'll open the door for you.
Now, Jimmy, tell me what on earth... Where's your mother, dear? Mommy's on the night shift at the factory this week, and Daddy had to go out of town, so she put me to bed in bed. She said she had to punch a clock. She said it was all right until the Nazis came right through the ceiling. They came, and I ran, and look, Mrs. Smith, I hurt my knee, and I fell, and my knee's all bloody, and it hurts. My knee hurts.
Come here, Jimmy, over to the light. Now, let's see. Why, child, your knee's all right. It's not even skinned.
Yes, it is, too. And I don't want to go home. Nazis are waiting for me behind all the doors with mortars and submarines.
Tell you what, Jimmy. You stay here for the night. I'll go over and leave a note for your mother. You can sleep in the other bed in Edmund's room. And won't he be surprised when he wakes up in the morning and finds you there?
I don't have to go home?
No.
Okay. You know, Mrs. Smith, I wasn't really afraid. It's just that they were real big and they growled at me and I was there all by myself.
He was there all by himself. How many American children are left by themselves these days? You've heard a number of stories tonight. Stories telling of the fears, the persecutions, the sufferings of little boys and girls in this, our war. We've spoken of the children's sufferings, but as yet we have not told of their bravery, of the sublime courage and indomitable will to live of all children. It happened in London during the darkest period of the war, when it seemed only a matter of weeks before England would be invaded. The warning siren had sounded, and youngsters from a nearby school had gathered in an air raid shelter before the first enemy planes arrived overhead.
You don't get up and push you. Come now, sit down. Everyone sit down. I sit next to Emily. Today it's my turn to sit next to Emily. Get up, Peter.
Oh, all right. Tell us a story, Emily.
Yes, tell us a story.
All right, but you must be quiet first.
Everybody shut up. Go ahead, Emily. We're quiet.
But I have no more stories. I've told you them all.
Oh, Emily.
Oh, wait a minute. Wait a minute. I shall think of something. Shall I tell you of the time I took my sister Jane to the fair?
Oh, yes, tell us at the fair. Tell us at the fair. Sit down, please, Emily.
I hear bombs. Emily, they're dropping bombs on us.
Yes, Pete, I know. Now the story. When Jane was only 4, we went to the fair. It was wonderful. There were booths with ducks to shoot at and sugar spun candy and clowns.
Clowns?
Oh, yes. 3 clowns in gay costumes with their faces all painted into smiles. And they turned cartwheels around us, right in a circle around us. And Jane was afraid and grabbed hold of my arm and said, Emily, I'm frightened. I want to go home.
She was afraid of clowns?
I know it was strange. But then she was a very little girl. She said, Emily, I'm frightened. I want to go home. And I said, don't be frightened, Jane. They're only clowns.
And then what?
Emily, you think the bombs can get through?
Oh, no, dear, of course not.
Go on, Emily. What did you and Jane do then?
Well, then, and this is the best part, we saw a band concert, a military band, and the leader looked perfectly beautiful. He wore white trousers and a scarlet coat, and on his head he had a very handsome fur hat. And as he marched out to lead his band, as he marched out so tall and straight, he slipped and sat right down on his handsome hat. And the leader got right up, carefully dusted off his hat,
the audience, turned around and fell down again. Oh, you mustn't cry. The bombs can't possibly get through the shelter. You know that.
It's the Nazis. They want to kill us. The Nazis trying to kill us.
Emily, I'm frightened. I want to go home. Don't be frightened, Pat. They're only clowns. That's right. They're only clowns. That's right.
And these shall inherit the earth. What have we to say to them? What have we to say to the children of China, Russia, Poland, England, to the children of the world? Only this: we will help you. There are only a few who know of your need, but more and more will learn. And those of you who are starving, we'll feed. And those who are lost, we'll find. This we promise. Meanwhile, wait and have faith. The day of victory will come. And on that day, we'll begin mankind's new effort to have trust in itself. We've always failed up to now, haven't we, children? But have faith. For one day, you are going to inherit our old struggle to trust one another. And when you do, children, remember this: so long as man can believe in man, there's still a chance for all of us.
As the 30th program of Words at War, we have brought you a program based on the book They Shall Inherit the Earth by Otto Zoff. The book was adapted for radio by Edith Sommer. Richard Stark narrated for Otto Zoff. The original music was by William Meader, and the production was under the direction of Frank Papp. Next week, Words at War will present an adaptation of another outstanding war book. Words at War is brought to you in cooperation with the Council on Books in Wartime by the National Broadcasting Company and its affiliated independent stations. This is the National Broadcasting Company.
But his thoughts were of the war. All his friends were in some branch of the armed forces. Then his kid brother Barney, a year and a half younger, went into the Army. That was when Lorenzo Noto decided that somehow he was going to get into the fight, too.
There's a job in it for me somewhere. Even if I am 4F and wear glasses. Maybe they'll take me in the Merchant Marine.
Lorenzo Noto applied to the Merchant Marine and was accepted as a merchant seaman. He was sent to the Maritime Service Training Station at Sheepshead Bay. 4.5 months later, he went to sea for the first time.
Shipped out first aboard a collier, and for the next 3 months sailed up and down the Atlantic coast. My second trip took me to North Africa, where I missed seeing my brother by 3 days. He was only 19 years old, but he was a staff sergeant with the 45th Division of the 7th Army. They had just left North Africa for the invasion of France. We came back to the States. After 2 weeks ashore, shipped out again. This time, we went to Plymouth and Southampton. This time, we met the war, face to face.
The ship was the Liberty, the S.M. Shoemaker, carrying a car.
The author of the novel we're going to dramatize on Words at War this evening is here with us. She is Lin Tai, author of War Tide. We're honored to have you with us tonight, Miss Lin.
I'm happy to be here.
Would you tell us a little about War Tide? Is it your first book?
No, but it is my first novel.
And it tells of your own experiences while being bombed by the Japanese?
Oh, no. My book is a novel. The story is imaginary.
But you were in Chongqing in 1940 during the heaviest bombings of that city.
Yes, I was there.
Won't you tell us a little about it?
But I do in my book, Mr. Costello. In my book, I tell of the war tide.
Just what is the war tide, Miss Lin?
The war tide? The war tide is a spirit, Mr. Costello. A spirit that has swept through China and met all men as one. It is a spirit that unites men in the same peril and makes them into a single unit. One called China, one called strength.
What is this spirit, Miss Lin?
The spirit is anger, Mr. Costello, and courage. And it is this spirit that makes us know that we shall win this war.
Our dramatization of your book doesn't follow exactly the incidents as you wrote them, but I think it will preserve that spirit.
That is all that matters, because the spirit is the war tide.
And one more question, Lin Tai. Would you mind? How old are you?
I'm 17 years old.
Words at War. Tonight, the National Broadcasting Company, in cooperation with the Council on Books in Wartime, presents an adaptation of a powerful new novel written by a 17-year-old girl. The book, War Tide, by Lin Tai.
My grandmother had 9 fingers, only 9. She was very proud of it. She said that all through her life she'd been blessed like that. She said that our family was different, special. But we weren't special. We were just a normal Chinese family living in Hangzhou. My father owned a silk shop, and like most fathers, I guess, he was impractical. My mother was a mother. And I had 2 brothers, a big one, Fine, and a small one, Little Bean. Then, of course, there was the old lady, my grandmother, and there was me, Lo Yin. You see, we really were a normal family. That is, until the war came.
Old lady, this is a lucky moment for you. Your grandson just married to the most beautiful girl in all of China.
Lucky, let me tell you, a toy stoops when he marries anyone. He stoops. Mother, did Father stoop? I didn't see him stoop. Mother, did he stoop to marry Royal Pearl?
Hush, little Bean. It is your brother's wedding. Your voice should not be heard until your own.
It shouldn't? For heaven's sake.
For heaven's sake, what, Little Bean?
Shen, oh, Shen, I think you'd better marry Lo Yin soon.
Well, so do I, Little Bean. But Lo Yin will not have me.
She won't? Why not? Lo Yin, why won't you have Shen?
Hush, Little Bean. Everyone will hear you.
But if you marry Shen, then that would give me another brother. Royal Pearl is my new sister, and Shen would be my new brother. Please, I think you should marry him. Mother, don't you think so?
What, Little Bean?
Don't you think Shen should marry Lo Yin?
Oh, no, Little Bean. Lo Yin is too young. Only 17. Let them wait a while.
All right. But they look at one another so funny all the time. Like now. Look, Mother, they're whispering. Look, Mother, Father, look. Shen and Lo Yin are whispering, see?
But of course, Little Bean, they are in love.
Father, it is time to propose the toast, dear.
What's that?
The toast, dear.
The toast. Oh, yes. Ladies and gentlemen. Ladies and gentlemen, my house is honored by your presence. This is a happy occasion for the House of Tai. I ask you to join me in welcoming my new daughter, my son's wife, Royal Pearl.
Live a long and happy life together. May peace and plenty bless their house.
And may they have 10 children and name them all after me.
Ladies and gentlemen, please, another toast. This time to my mother. My mother, who is my home's most beautiful ornament. She is the...
I'm 80 years old, and I have but 9 fingers. And I'm glad you all could come.
Oh, Mother.
That's wonderful. Shen, are you ready?
So soon, Fa'an?
What is it, Fa'an?
Why do you look so sad and secret? It's your wedding, brother. Please be happy.
Come into the next room, Loyan. We have something to tell you.
Oh, yes, Shen.
There's not much time, sister. Come.
Of course. What is it, Vine? What have you to say that makes you both look so...
You tell her.
Loyan, the war is coming.
Yes, I know, but
Fa'an and I must prepare to stop the Japs.
I don't understand.
Well, the devils have thousands of planes, Loyan. Thousands. And we must keep them from crawling through our sky.
We're to report to the airfield in Hanko.
When?
Now.
Oh, Shen.
Loyan, listen to me. When I'm gone, there'll be only you to take care of our family. Only you to take care of my wife.
Oh, no, Vine.
Royal Pearl is very beautiful, Loyan. I love her very much. Please, Loyan, there's no one else but you. Little Bean, the old lady, Mother, Father, Royal Pearl. All of them depend on you. You must stay and take care of them. Promise me that when war comes, you'll keep this family safe and strong. Promise.
Shen.
You must promise, Loyan.
All right. I'll do my best, Vine.
Thank you. You're a good girl. Goodbye, sister. Take care. And Loyan, keep Royal Pearl safe.
Yes, Vine.
I must say goodbye, too. My darling.
Shen. Oh, Shen.
Yes, dear, what is it?
Shen, Vine said the Japanese had thousands of planes. How many have you?
Oh, don't worry, Loyan. We'll stop them. They haven't a chance.
How many planes have you?
We're strong and not afraid, and we'll drop them right out of our sky.
How many planes?
We have 5.
That night, the night was deep, and the storm beat against my windows, and I couldn't sleep. The storm beat down upon the windows, and I lay in bed thinking of Shen and my brother Fan, who'd gone off to do battle in the sky. I thought of my mother and my father, and the old lady and Royal Pearl, and of little Bean, my brother. I thought of taking care of them all. And I heard laughter in the rain, loud laughter, gay and high, very high. I listened. The rain beat down fast and energetic, and it wasn't laughter at all. It was wailing voices, weeping and sobbing, weeping and sobbing. And that was when the war came to my heart. It came and settled down and wouldn't go away. The war.
War? Nonsense. The war won't come here. The Japanese won't come here. They wouldn't dare.
But, Father, the war has come. Nanking, our capital, has fallen.
Oh, no, not Nanking.
Yes, Mother. And already the devils are on the edge of Hangzhou. Right here on the edge of town.
Oh, no.
Nonsense.
Listen, Father, listen. Do you hear guns?
Why, it's only the wind, Loyan. Not guns. Only the wind.
Oh, Father, please. I promised Fa I'd take care of everybody. Help me. Mother. Royal Pearl. Loyan, what should we do?
Royal Pearl.
What should we
Little
do?
Bean, be quiet. Loyan, you're making your brother cry. I won't have it. I won't have it. Come here, Little Bean. Now stop making those noises.
Father, they're invading the city. We must go to Chiu-Chang. Mother, please make him see.
My daughter. How?
Oh, Mother, old lady, somebody.
It's true. Those are guns. Listen, my son. Oh, merciful Lord, what will we do?
Planes. Japanese planes. The devils are here.
Be quiet. Be quiet. Those aren't guns. Do you hear? Those are not guns. It's only the wind. Only the wind.
And war came to Hangzhou. And it broke out like a plague in Hangzhou. And all over. Until it spread thick over China and ran into the sea. And everywhere it went, people recognized it. The
clouds fizzed and the sky cracked, and up came the hell and down came the heaven, and no one could tell them apart. For the devils from the East Ocean have come, they said. The devils from the East Ocean have come. The dead littered the earth, and ghosts stalked in the sun, and men were torn limb from limb, and women were raped and slit open, and that was what war was. Bombs flew as gracefully as birds, and the old lived and the young died, and God was mad, and men were angry. Men were angry, and the world went crazy. The war came, and it was ugly. But with it came a spirit. Beneath this ugly world, there was woven a hope that came from the birth and death of men. And this spirit made us want to spit and want to stir, and it made us restless and feverish. And the spirit was the war tide. It swept in, and there was light and there was happiness, because the spirit, which was the war tide, was anger and courage. And it swept in and filled the people of China. Mother and Royal Pearl and Little Bean left for Chu Chang. But Father and my grandmother would not go, and so I stayed behind with them. And that night, the Japs entered Hangzhou. I hurried to the silk shop to warn my father. Father, are you there? It's so dark. Father.
They've looted my store. They've torn up my silks. The Japs have torn up my silks.
I found my father sitting dark and lonely in a corner of the store. Around him, piles and piles of silks were heaped, slashed, ruined.
All of them.
I went up to him and found myself staring into the eyes of a madman.
All the silks. The pretty silks. My life's work. Gone.
Father, we must get out of here quickly. Please, Father, the devils are everywhere and they're burning everything and killing.
Yes, the devils. They're the ones who did this. They're the ones who slash and burn. Burn. Yes, that's it. Burn. I'll burn them all. All my silks. Where's the match? I want to find God in heaven. Where is there a match?
Oh, Father,
a match, please.
Don't.
Here's one. Right here. A match. You see?
Father, stop it. You don't know what you're doing.
And now we shall see the end of everything. Watch, Lo Yin. See how the flame catches hold. Orange flame. See? As my silks were pretty. Watch, Lo Yin. Oh, it's a good fire. See how it burns? Look how it burns. Go on. Burn, you devil. Burn.
Father, we just get out. The flame.
Burning.
Father.
Burning.
Father.
The whole world is burning. Everything is burning. See?
Then he choked on the smoke. He stood there coughing and choking. The flames spurted up all around him, and he wouldn't come out. I tried to make him come, but he wouldn't. And then he tripped and fell into the biggest flame of all. And I didn't see him anymore. I'm so tired. Oh, lady, I'm so tired.
Oh, my son, where is my son? My only son. Gone. Everyone is gone. No one left but you.
It's so lonely in the house. I'm cold. I'm frightened. It's so lonely.
Yes, child. Go bolt the door.
Please, old lady. Couldn't we go join Mother and Little Bean?
Bolt the door, Lo Yin. Bolt the door.
Yes.
We're all alone now. All alone.
What was that? Listen, footsteps. Hear them?
I hear nothing. Nothing. Oh, it's so lonely here, Lo Yin.
Shh. There it is again.
The lamp. Quickly, child.
Is there anyone here?
It's a Jap. Don't say anything. For your life, don't say anything.
Is there anyone here? Is there a woman here? What's this? What's this?
Don't look at him, child. Don't look at him. Get out, you devil! Get out! Oh, Shen. Where are you, Shen? Run, Loyan, run.
Not so fast. Come here. No!
Get out, you beast. For your own good, get out. Don't you dare touch us. We're sick. Sick. See, I have only 9 fingers. Only 9. We're sick. Sick with leprosy. Leprosy, see?
Leprosy.
Leprosy. Leprosy. Don't cry, Loyan. It's all over. The devil is gone. We'll go join your mother and little Bean now. We shall go, child. Don't cry. We'll be safe in Chuchang. 9-fingered little slave, they used to call me. 9-fingered little beggar. Now they know. Now my ancestors know why I was made with only 9 fingers. It was not my mother's fault. It was Buddha's blessing. Hush, child. Hush. Shen will come back to you. And the flowers will bloom, and it will be all green and pretty outside. Don't cry, Loyan. Don't cry.
I have 10 tickets left for the $600 for the ticket to Hong Kong.
Bombs were falling on Chelsea. We arrived in the night, my grandmother and I. And as we arrived, there was a sound in the sky. And it was the sound of death and fire. And it was the sound of Japanese planes. We were 4 women and a little boy. One woman old and pale as ashes and just as useless. One beautiful and incapable Royal Pearl. My mother, who didn't know that her husband, my father, was dead. And I, who dare not tell her, because the war brings sorrow that allows no time for weeping. And so we were on the wharf waiting for the little steamer to take us down home, to take us to Shen.
1 ticket left. 1 ticket for the trip to Hong Kong. Give it to me. Who will pay $600 for safety? 1 ticket.
Oh, excuse me, please.
Little lady, do you want the last ticket?
I have 4 tickets, and we need only 1 more for my little brother. Well, he's very little. Oh, please don't make us pay for him.
Yeah, where is he?
Oh, here. Say something, little Bean. Hello.
The boy is small, all right, but there's nothing I can do about it. I'm sorry.
We have not the money to pay for my brother's fare.
Well, you'll have to leave him here then. Who wants this ticket? $600. No.
Quiet, little Bean. I can't go. Everybody's going, but I can't go.
I must get $600. Stop those miserable noises, little boy. How can I sell the ticket if your troubles are louder than I am?
You'll stop if you give us the ticket. I'll stop if you give us the ticket. I'll stop if you give us the ticket. I'll stop if...
All right, stop then. Why, you're even louder than the bombs. Here, Sonny. Here's the ticket. Now hurry up and get on that boat.
You can't give him that ticket. Thank you. Thank you. Mother, we have the ticket for little Bean. The man gave us the ticket. We have 5 now. Not 6. 6? No, there are only 5 of us. Your father, Loyan. Where's the ticket for your father? Oh, merciful Buddha, I forgot. Where is your father? Loyan. Why is Royal Pearl crying? Mother, I can't keep it from you any longer. Oh, what kind of a world is this when we haven't even time for our sorrows? Tell me. Mother, Father won't be coming. He's dead, Mother. Oh. He set his shop on fire and died in the flames. And that's why we should go, Mother. Because Father won't be coming. Mother, won't you say anything? Won't you cry? Please cry. No matter what, it's better to cry. We shall miss the boat. Come, wife of my dead son. You stand there as a statue, but you must concern yourself with the living. Later you may remember and be haunted with the dead. But now Now there is no time. Come, daughter.
She won't come. She just stands there. Oh, Goddess in heaven, help me to touch my mother's heart and remind her of the world again. Help me.
Mother, I'm afraid the bombs, they're getting closer.
What?
The bombs.
Oh, yes. Yes, little bean. Never mind, son. We'll get on the boat now. We'll get on the boat.
My brother Fawn. Oh, everything will be all right in Hunko. No bombs nor blood. Men will be men again, not beasts. Oh, things will be all right in Hunko.
Careful, little bean. Don't fall overboard. I won't. Sister, there's one.
Where? Oh, where?
Royal Pearl! Logan! This way! Come this way!
Little bean, take Mother's hand while I help the old one. Oh, hurry. Shen and Fawn are here. Hurry.
Hurry, you say? You waited weeks to see that Shen of yours? Or a few seconds more, so unbearable? Measure your steps to an old woman's child.
Excuse me, old lady. But Shen...
He will keep.
Mother, Royal Pearl. You're here at last.
Oh, Fawn.
Never mind, darling. It's all right now.
Fawn, are we safe, Fawn? Can we be safe now?
Quite safe, little bean. Quite safe.
Oh, Fawn, it was awful. Bombs killed us and Father... Where's my grandson? Fawn, where are you?
Here, old one. Welcome to Hancock.
Oh, thank you, boy. I'm hungry. Fawn?
Yes, Loyin. Loyin, thank you for taking care of Royal Pearl and everyone so well.
Fawn, where's Shen?
Loyin.
Where is he? Is he dead?
Oh, no. But he's been wounded.
Where is he?
Here in the hospital. He's been calling for you. You'd better go to him.
Is he badly wounded?
You'd better go to him.
Yes. Yes, I'll go to him.
Loyin?
Yes, Shen. I'm here.
You've come. You've really come.
Yes, Shen.
Are you all right?
Oh, yes, I'm all right. But you... Are you... Shen, I'm afraid to ask.
Loyin, I've been wounded and...
Don't tell me. Please don't tell me.
It doesn't matter. Because I don't mind. It is fate. Look, Loyin, you must look. See?
Is that all?
Yes, that's all. Just one arm shot away. Do you mind? Oh, Loyin, do you mind?
I love you.
Loyin.
Yes?
Will you marry me? Loyin, will you?
Shen.
Darling, listen. I'll take care of you. You're so young and you've done so much. Now I'll take care of you. I've only one arm, true, but I have my legs and my head and everything else. I can't fly anymore, but I can teach it. I will teach flying, and you will teach sacrifice. Loyin, will you marry me now?
I was afraid before, Shen. But now I know that in these times risk is nothing. And words like safety and reason and logic have no meaning. It's only the heart that makes sense, because the heart hasn't been invaded by this terrible civilization yet. Yes, Shen, I'll marry you. Gladly.
Oh, Loyin, I'm lucky. So lucky.
Shen, I hear something. Oh, Shen.
Yes, dear. It's bombs.
Not here, too. Oh, not here, too.
Loyin, listen to me.
No, I won't listen. I'm so tired, Shen, so tired. Wherever I go, there's a black wall, and the blackness suffocates and tangles me up, and there's no getting away. Huncho, Changcheng, Hunko, bombs everywhere. There's nowhere on earth where there isn't death and war.
Hush, Loyin. We'll be married and go to Chungking. There'll be no bombs there, and I'll teach flying and...
I can't. Oh, Shen, I can't. Not anymore.
Listen to me, Loyin. Oh, listen to me. War is an unpleasant black mask with death and blood and sacrifices smeared on it. But one day it will wear off. You have a job to do again, and you will do it. There is still sorrow and hardship and pain. Bombs will fall and blood will be shed, and we will all starve or die. But the war tide has got us, body and soul, Loyin. Don't you remember? Anger and courage, anger and courage. Oh, look at me, Lo Yin. Don't you remember?
Oh, yes, Shen. I remember. I remember. It is the war tide.
As the 32nd program of Words at War, we have brought you a radio version of War Tide, the novel by Lin Tai. The book was adapted by Edith Summer of the NBC staff. Frances Heflin was heard as Lo Yin, and others in the cast were Billy Dosha, Nell Harrison, Kay Renwick, Edwin Bruce, Stuart Brody, Patricia Wheel, Alan Devitt, Melvin Elliott, Sanford Bickert, and Rod Hendrickson. The original music was by William Meader, and Mr. Y.F. Lee was heard playing the Chinese erhu, or violin. The production was under the direction of Anton Leader. Next week, Words at War will present an adaptation of Condition Red by Captain Frederick Bell, a story of a destroyer. Words at War is brought to you in cooperation with the Council on Books in Wartime by the National Broadcasting Company and its affiliated independent stations. This is the National Broadcasting Company.
Condition red, condition red, condition red, condition red, condition red, condition red.
We had been 6 weeks crossing the Pacific, eternally on the alert, always on the watch for the enemy. But we had met no opposition in force until today. Then we received a report that a Japanese carrier was within 300 miles of us. A stone's throw as distances are measured in the Pacific. Planes had taken off from the carrier of our own task force, of which our destroyer, which I shall call the G, was a part. They were due back now, and following them were sure to be Jap Zeros bent on revenge.
Condition red, condition red, condition red.
Condition red is an expression used to indicate that we're about to engage the enemy. Whenever it blared out on the ship radio, we ran to general quarters and prepared to greet the Tokyo Express or the Zeros or Mitsubishis as soon as they came into view.
Condition red, condition red,
Words at War, presented by NBC in cooperation with the Council on Books in Wartime, is bringing you another radio adaptation of an important war book, Condition Red, the story of destroyer action in the South Pacific, written by Captain Frederick J. Bell of the United States Navy.
Stand by to repel air attack. We moved in closer to our carrier, ready for action. Within the steel walls of our destroyer, the G, 300 officers and men took a last-minute inventory of their tools of war. In the wardroom, the surgeon opened out his equipment on the officer's dining table. On the bulkhead, he hung up a square canvas fitted with pockets and pouches for kits of medical hardware. He laid his bottles along the leather seats to cushion them against the shattering concussion of gunfire. Across from the radio shack, in the cramped quarters of the coding room, the communications officer stuffed a sea bag with our secret books. Weighted the bag with fire bricks. so that it could be thrown overboard if the ship had to be abandoned. Far below deck, the engineers cracked their valves wide open and the turbines sang in higher key. In all lower deck compartments, there were wooden shores and wedges ready to plug shell holes. The men of the repair parties waited to fight fire and explosion in the inrush of water. Everyone wore a steel helmet. The men topside were bundled in life jackets. Below decks, in the fierce heat, the others kept their jackets within easy reach. Unnecessary electric power and water supply were cut off. Wherever men were stationed, there was fresh drinking water handy, for battle action brings intolerable thirst. All these and 100 other details were attended to, almost subconsciously. Within 2.5 minutes from the first alarm, every station was manned by the men who fight this war. Aboard our destroyer, the G, kids, young men, a journalist, a mining engineer, a manager of a textile mill, a cattle raiser, a clothing merchant, a lawyer, a teacher of public speaking, a broker. 300 of them waited for the Zeros to attack. Suddenly they were upon us. The first Jap plane cut over our quarter less than 200 feet above our decks. The pilot rolled slightly toward us. In the after cockpit, the gunner leaned out and thumbed his nose. Seaman Robert Otto let the fingers of his left hand slide along the trigger of his 20-millimeter gun. And before that Jap hit the water, Otto was firing on a new target. Then the Jap dive bomber hit our carrier. We saw the dense cloud of gray-white smoke. Then a burst of flame. Another Jap dive bomber overshot the carrier and loosed his bomb on the side of the G. The ocean soared up and fell on our deck. Splinters of steel ripped into our hull. Still another Jap plane pulled out of its dive and droned by us. We could have hit him with a rock. But the gun crews, still wiping water from their faces, shaken by the bomb, didn't see him. But Chief Gunner's mate Hoppers saw him and yelled at the gun crew on the starboard side. They couldn't hear him in the noise of the battle. So Hoppers reached down, ripped off one of his shoes and threw it at the nearest gun captain. It was a bullseye. The gun captain turned. Hoppers pointed frantically. The gun captain saw the plane just in time. His gun barked and the Jap plane spun and tumbled into the sea. There was a lull. We checked up hurriedly on our formation. Everyone was accounted for. The carrier had put out its fire and stood ready to repel other Jap planes. But they didn't come back.
Task Force Commander to the Chief. Proceed to the north. Pick up any of our plane crews that may be in the water. Give directions to planes that have sufficient fuel to return to the carrier. Rejoin task force at noon tomorrow, or if unable to make rendezvous, proceed to advance base.
All stations, stand easy.
All stations, stand easy.
We are headed toward the enemy fleet to find our aviators.
We are headed toward the enemy fleet to find our aviators.
The ship will remain at general quarters until our duty is completed.
The ship will remain at general quarters until our duty is completed.
How are the wounded?
All right, Captain. Causey has a mean chest wound, but he'll come around.
Good. How was it below, Chief?
Well, not bad, Captain. Got up to 140 degrees in the engine room, but we didn't have any trouble. It kind of looked like nice shooting.
It looked like nice shooting. That was one of our jokes. The engineers never saw a shot fired. They tended their engines, gave us steam and answered the calls for speed, but never witnessed an action.
So there's a nice little bomb hole at frame 30 starboard, but we put in a temporary patch and she's not taking any water.
Good, Ross. What's the matter with you?
Nothing, sir.
You're all covered with blood.
Oh, I got that from helping some of the gun crews below, sir.
Oh.
Sir, did you happen to see the Jap that thumbed his nose at us?
Yes, I did, Ross.
Well, sir, I thought you'd like to know. We got him, sir.
Good work, Ross. Well, gentlemen, Suppose we order up some coffee. We settled down to a good speed, course north. There remained an hour of daylight as we advanced toward the retiring fleet of the enemy. All in all, it had been a most highly satisfactory afternoon. I'm writing about just one destroyer, which I've called the G. Can't tell you its real name, and I'm glad I can't, because the Navy permits us to use actual names only of ships that have been sunk. And the G hasn't been sunk so far. But this is not just the story of the G. It's the story of all destroyers, the hottest, coldest, fastest, rough-ridingest ships in the world. They're uncomfortable and wet. They have a hull so thin you could break through it with a hammer. They have the horsepower of a battleship and less armor than our newest bombing planes. They carry 300 officers and men packed in a slender, streamlined form that's designed to strike hard and fast. Gun for gun, they're the fightingest things afloat. The destroyer's a triple threat weapon designed to carry the offensive against submarines, aircraft, or surface vessels. Its guns are double purpose, high angle for planes and hard-hitting flat trajectory for surface work. Its torpedoes make it the most dangerous ship in the fleet for its size. Now, on a large ship, a man can be reasonably certain of things. Certain days bring certain drills. Certain hours are taken up with previously prescribed duties. Things go according to plan. Not so on a destroyer. There can be no such adherence to plan. Destroyer duty's hard duty, and yet men swear by these rugged, rough riders of the sea. They might find the going a little tough at first, but if they've got the stuff that destroyer men are made of, they'll fit in.
Ensign Wood reporting, sir.
How are you, Wood? Glad to have you aboard.
Thank you, sir.
Take you long to catch up with us?
Yes, it did, sir. I've been 3 months on the way, come by freighter and plane and battleship.
We're hard to catch, Wood. I'll have someone show you around.
Thank you, sir.
Oh, Ross.
Yes, sir?
Ross is Ensign Wood, who's just joined us. Will you show him around?
Well, yes, sir. Glad to meet you, Wood.
I'm glad to be here.
Take him in hand, Ross.
Yes, sir. Will you come along, Wood?
It's a good-looking ship.
It's pretty good.
You've seen some action.
A little. You ever served on a destroyer before?
I haven't served on anything. Just another 90-day wonder.
Oh, well, don't let that bother you. So am I.
Are there many regular Navy officers? I mean, besides the captain? 3
others. All the rest are reserves. 90-day wonders like you and me. They're good, too.
Well, gee, I hope I make good.
I think the chances are that brand new Ensign Wood will make good. I'm constantly amazed at the way these reserves learn their jobs. The 90-day wonder, so called because he's commissioned after a 3-month course, has brought a new breath of life to the service. He requires more supervision than your Naval Academy graduate. He makes mistakes, and for a time he does weird things to the language of the sea. He calls the bow of the ship, that part of the boat up front, and describes anything that he doesn't know exactly as a gadget. But he falls in with naval routine so readily that after he's been on board a month, I never know or care whether he's a regular or a reserve. We're put on our mettle to train him, but it's easy to train a man who wants to learn. And the so-called 90-day wonder, with his varied civilian accomplishments, brings a fresh and inspiring atmosphere to shipboard routine.
Well, here's where you bunk, Wood. I'll leave you here now and let you get organized.
All right. Thanks a lot.
You're welcome. Anything else you want to know right now?
No, I guess not, thanks. Not right now.
You'll be all right, Wood. But at first, it may be a little tough.
Oh, I expect that at first. I expect it'll be a little tough at first.
No, it won't be a picnic for young Ensign Wood. On a big ship, it's possible that a few men out of the thousands aboard can slide by on a minimum of effort. They can stand their watches, man their battle stations, but contribute little to the general welfare. On a destroyer, there can be no deadheads. A man pays his freight, does his job, and more besides, or pretty soon he finds himself at the gangway, waiting with bag and hammock for transfer to another ship. But if a young officer takes the responsibility and proves that he can work hard, if he can do a little more than is expected of him, he'll get along. And if, in addition to that, he has a personality that makes officers work with him and his men work for him, if he can be reasonably cheerful after 6 months of day-in, day-out cruising, if he can keep his eyes open after 72 hours without sleep, then he'll be welcome aboard any destroyer in the fleet. But if he's just a little better than run-of-the-mine, if he figures that the end of the day means the end of work, and if he's not the type to whom men will come with their troubles and their personal triumphs, well, then it won't be long before his face is missing around the wardroom table. Lack of training in a new officer is expected. We'll train him. Intellectual shortcomings are capable of adjustment. We'll find a place for him. But lack of effort, well, that's something we just can't accept aboard a destroyer. There's no room for it. Following our battle with the Jap planes, the G slid through the Solomon Seas with oil enough for just 24 more hours sloshing in her tanks. The doctor reported the wounded in good condition, even Causey, whose chest wound had worried me. The decks had been scrubbed down, cleaned of the bloody reminders of the battle. We'd gotten a little sleep by the next morning, which dawned bright as a Chamber of Commerce booklet. There was a refreshing nip in the air, and the sea was a pale blue carpet. The walking wounded came topside to bask in the sun and in the admiration of their comrades. They wore a jaunty air, but they'd had a scare, all right. You can't collect a bullet or a fragment of hot steel without thinking. Gee, supposing it had been just a half inch to the right. Supposing I'd been picking up a shell just then. Supposing... Well, it leaves you a little weak. Things were very calm that beautiful morning, when suddenly...
Sail ho, 1.4 to starboard beam, sir. Looks like a carrier.
Right standard rudder. Get a bearing on that ship.
Aye, sir.
We put our glasses to starboard. Yes, it was a carrier, all right. We could see the flat outline of the flight deck under the island superstructure. Funny we hadn't picked her up while she was still hull down. But no one's eyes were much good this morning. After all, you had to sleep sometimes. I stepped to the Polaris to get a bearing and check our course. Tell the Commodore we have the carrier in sight and we're headed for her now.
Aye, aye, sir.
I squinted through the vanes and moved the bearing circle to the right, paralleling the horizon. But nothing appeared. We couldn't be that blind. I grabbed for my binoculars and looked again. There was nothing. No carrier, no ship, nothing.
Sir, it seems to be gone.
Gone, but where could it go?
Well, beg your pardon, sir, but could it be that
That was no carrier.
That was a dirty stinking
It was a submarine, sir. Submarine. She's submerged.
Yes, the realization came to us all at once. It was a submarine, a Jap submarine. General quarters.
General quarters.
Stations for sub-attack.
Stations for sub-attack.
Set depth charges.
Set depth charges.
All ahead, flank.
All ahead, flank.
The G went into action. This was her special business, getting a submarine. The gun crew swung the muzzles of their main battery down toward the sea. The depth charges were made ready, and the sound man came into his own. Let me tell you about the sound man on a destroyer. He sits at a listening device, hour after hour, day after day. He listens over and over again to the ping of an electric impulse sent out by a projector under our waterline. If these impulses strike the hull of another ship or a submarine, the ping bounces back to the sound man with an echo of a different note. From the intensity of this returning ping, the sound man and the plotting officers are able to chart the position of the ship or sub with reasonable accuracy. And that's what we set out to do now, to find this Jap sub, which was somewhere below the surface not far from us. We were going to find it and then try to destroy it with our depth charges, our ash cans.
Range 3, 0, bearing 2, 7,
5.
Perhaps you'll get a better idea if I put it this way. Imagine you're leaning over the roof of a 20-story building with a fistful of grenades in your hand. You're trying to hit an automobile that's cruising around a large parking lot below at about 25 miles an hour. You keep a careful watch on the car. It's moving at a steady rate and in a straight line.
Range 2, 6, 5. Bearing 2, 6, 8.
You look at the moving car below and estimate the distance it will advance while your grenade is falling, and you toss one over. But the driver's watching you, too. And as he spots the grenade, he twists the wheel sharply. When your grenade explodes, he's 100 yards away, waiting to dodge the next one. That's the way it is when a destroyer goes after a sub, except that sound takes the place of sight. You can hear the sub, and the sub can hear you.
Range 1, 4, 5. Bearing 2, 6, 0.
Yes. Now the sound man, the kettle drummer of our orchestra, has a chance to be heard. More than that, he has a solo number. Behind him in the chart house are the other members of the attack team. The executive officer, poised over a chart, pencil and dividers in hand. And the sound officer, who's in the role of conductor of the orchestra. I stood in the doorway between the pilot house and the chart house, where I could be within arm's reach of the helmsman and the engine telegraphs, and equally close to the sound officer.
Range 1, 0, bearing 2, 5, 0.
He's pulling left.
He's going pretty fast.
Left rudder. Steer 2, 4, 5.
Steer 2, 4, 5, sir.
The range is closing.
Left standard rudder. Stand by.
Standing by, sir.
Drop 1.
1 drop.
Drop 2.
2 dropped.
Drop 3.
3 dropped.
Drop 4.
4 dropped.
We hadn't heard him. The Jap sub was making radical maneuvers at the expense of his batteries, but he couldn't continue them for long. We picked him up on the sound gear again and came in for the second run. That run was better, but the Jap dived deep in his hole and our charges exploded above him.
He's going to run down his batteries if he keeps up that speed.
Yeah, unless he runs us out of ash cans first.
Fantail reports both racks reloaded, sir.
Very good. Starting the run. Pick him up as soon as you can. All ahead, standard.
Contact. Range 240. Bearing 315.
The third run was no good, but the fourth one did the Jap some damage. There were plain indications that he was trying to surface. We swung around for our fifth attack to help him make up his mind, praying that our oil would hold out.
Task Force Commander to the G. Do you still have contact with the submarine?
Still have contact.
Sending 2 destroyers to back you. When they have made contact, proceed to tanker.
Hope we can get...
We needed oil, all right. But we had found this Jap sub. We'd softened him up, and by golly, we were going to finish him ourselves without any help from our sister destroyers. We had depth charges remaining for just 2 more runs.
Come on, let's get this guy. Make it good. Make it good.
He must have been one whale of a submarine. We knew that when we mistook him for a carrier. Our next attack punished him some more. He was groggy, but still in there fighting. And then we had just one more chance, a handful of ash cans left. And the 2 destroyers from the task force now in sight, coming up fast, eager to be in on the kill. We wanted this sub for ourselves. We wheeled and started in for our last run.
Range 100. Bearing 250.
Stand by.
Standing by.
Make this one good. Make this one good.
Drop 1.
1 drop.
Drop 2.
2 dropped.
Drop 3.
3 dropped.
To surface, but we had him now. We poised over him and laid a pattern of those deadly ash cans on his deck. He started going down. Our sound instruments followed him, down and down. And then slowly the churning of the water subsided. And the afternoon breeze drew a feathery line of whitecaps over the spot where our late enemy rested 1,000 fathoms below. Our sister destroyers plowed up to the spot, but there was nothing for them to do. We were out of depth charges, almost out of oil, but we had finished that Jap sub.
Task Force Commander to the G. Well done for your day's operation.
You hear that, boy?
In the sailor's language, there's no higher praise. The attack team relaxed over coffee and cigarettes. The torpedo men came to the bridge to receive a pat on the back. The sound man, who had been bored to death a few hours before, was fairly bursting. He was the kettle drummer of our orchestra, and a kettle drummer seldom gets a chance to solo. But when he does, you can hear him all over the house. And this had been the sound man's day.
More coffee, Wood?
Thanks. Man, I never drank so much coffee in all my life.
Oh, shucks. You haven't had more than 6 or 7 cups. Well, how you like it so far?
It's great. Boy, that was some action before. Yeah, I like it great.
Yeah, that's good. Well, is there anything you want to know?
Oh, lots of things.
Oh, I see. You want facts.
That's right.
All right, then. Stem to stern, the G measures 348 feet.
Mm-hmm.
She's 36 feet across the broadest part of a beam. She's built for speed, and she doesn't waste an inch of space. You bumped your head yet?
Matter of fact, I did. How'd you know?
There's exactly 18 inches of headroom in your bunk. Till you remember that, you're going to keep on bumping your head, too.
Yeah?
Yeah. Do you figure on raising a beard?
Well, I hadn't thought of it, but maybe I'll
Don't do it.
Against regulations?
Navy regulations say it's all right for a man to raise a beard if it isn't grotesque.
I see.
Our skipper considers any form of facial furs or foliage most grotesque. No beards.
Okay, no beards.
Destroyers aren't, they aren't dress-up ships, as you may have noticed. Sometimes we out so long that our trousers start growing a fringe and our shoes get to looking like they belong to a cotton picker with sore feet. Last time out, we were gone so long only one man had as much as 2 pair of entire socks. We called him the Dude.
The Dude, huh?
Yeah. This is a good eating ship.
Yeah, it's fine. This morning I had
This morning you had fruit, cereal, ham and eggs, and coffee.
That's right.
Tomorrow morning you will have cream chip beef or hotcakes and syrup and coffee. Noontime you eat your big meal. Soup, 2 or 3 vegetables, pork chops or roast beef or chicken, dessert and coffee. Well, say, how about some more coffee? Huh?
No, really. I
Come on. Give me a cup. It's good for you.
Okay.
Yeah, that's the stuff. This is not any conducted tour, as you may have surmised. Now, on the battleships and cruisers, they have a gay old time. Yep, here's your coffee.
Thanks.
But we haven't got any room for deck tennis or shuffleboard on a destroyer. You like ice cream?
Sure, I like it.
Well, you're going to just adore ice cream on this ship, because we haven't got any. No room. Once in a while, when we latch onto a big ship refueling, why, they'll send us over a couple of cans of ice cream. It'll be the best ice cream you ever tasted. But try to get it out of your mind in the meantime.
I'll try.
You will learn to have a new respect for fresh water, Mr. Wood. Well, we got enough, but you don't go wasting it. When you take a shower, turn off the water while you're soaping.
Right.
And, Mr. Wood.
Yes, sir.
Please arrange not to be caught in the shower when general quarters is sounded. You will find it most embarrassing to man your gun station wearing nothing but lather.
I'll try to watch that, sir.
That'll be a good idea. Sometimes, although we do not guarantee this, we will come into port. On such occasions, Mr. Wood,
Yes.
You are expected to conduct yourself as an officer and a gentleman. You will not exhibit yourself in public places except under the most favorable circumstances. Privately, you may enjoy a friendly little glass with your comrades.
Well, thank you, sir.
Escort proper young ladies to the cinema, and you are even permitted to raise your voice in song of a decorous nature.
No, I think I have that straight, Mr. Ross.
Mm-hmm. Summing up, Mr. Wood, may I say that you have made yourself a part of the darndest ship ever invented.
You don't say.
The toughest, most uncomfortable ship ever to come out of a designer's nightmare. They are simply impossible. And you love them.
Yeah, sure.
One final word. Do you enjoy sleeping?
Sleeping? Yes, very much.
Mm-hmm. Please try to break yourself of this most unfortunate habit.
I'll do my best.
On destroyers, sleep is something we prefer not to discuss. Until you can forget it for 72 or 96 hours at a stretch, you will be a very unhappy ensign in the U.S. Navy.
I see.
Now, there's one thing more, and then I'll show you the...
Condition red.
Hey, what's the matter? Shut up, kid. Let's hear it.
Condition red. Stand by to repel air attack.
Come on, man. Let's go. Right behind you, Rock.
Condition red.
You have heard another program in the series Words at War. Tonight, a dramatization of Condition Red by Captain Frederick J. Bell of the United States Navy. The adaptation was by Gerald Holland. The production was under the direction of Anton Leader, with music by William Meader. Alan Bunce was heard as Captain Frederick J. Bell, and others in the cast were Jerry Macy, Jack Lloyd, and Jeffrey Bryant. Next week, you will hear White Brigade by Robert Goffin, a true story of the Belgian underground. Next week, White Brigade by Robert Goffin, a true story of the Belgian underground. Words at War is presented each Tuesday evening at this time by the National Broadcasting Company and its affiliated independent stations, in cooperation with the Council on Books in Wartime. This is the National Broadcasting Company.